weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Governor Cox signed nearly 80 bills last night and allowed 3 more to become law without his signature, including the controversial flag bill. KSL News Radio's Verl Johansson reports.
The governor called House Bill 77 one of the most divisive bills of the session and was disappointed it didn't land in a better place. Cox explained in his letter to lawmakers he agrees with the intent behind the bill, but felt it made some kids feel more welcome and other kids feel less welcome. Cox says he decided not to veto the bill because he believed it would be overridden. Cox believes the Utah State Board of Education is a better place to make these kinds of regulations instead of the legislature, and asked the board to find ways to make classrooms more welcoming and politically neutral. Verl Johansson, KSL News Radio.
The governor signed some bills related to health and safety. One prevents schools from providing food or treats that have certain dyes or additives. Another bill will change what can be purchased with SNAP benefits, meaning food stamps cannot be used to purchase soda or candy. Another signed bill requires public schools to provide gun safety courses to students. And there is a bill that increases the criminal charges for accused sexual predators. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he's going to cut about a quarter of the department's workforce, which is about 10,000 employees. The 10,000 job cuts are in addition to nearly 10,000 that already took buyouts or retirement offers. Your money at this moment. Right now, the Dow is off 553 points. We're down to 42,070. Coming up, we could see some rain this weekend. Clouds today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The weather is about to warm up. That means lawn care. Wouldn't you love a greener, healthier lawn without the hassle? Utah's tough climate doesn't make it easy, but J&J Garden Center has the answer to make it simple. So simple, you can do it yourself. The 5-step lawn care program at J&J Garden Center with Basin's Best Fertilizer is designed just for Utah's unique climate, giving you a thicker, stronger, weed-free lawn all season long. It's easy to apply, affordable, and covers up to 10,000 square feet. Just follow the simple 5-step plan and let Basin's Best Fertilizer do the rest and take the guesswork out of your lawn care. DIY and save big. No expensive lawn services needed. Get started today at J&J Garden Center and watch your lawn turn green with envy. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and get growing today. Just take the Layton Parkway exit to Main Street and head west on Gentile. J&J Garden Center. Country grown to your home.
Home sellers, do not lose money selling your home the old way. Make more money when you sell your home with a Bank Buster loan. This is Rod with the Save Right Realtor team at Realty Path. Average interest rates are in the mid to high 6s, but Save Right Realtors will market your home with a fixed rate as low as 4.75%. The ultra-low Bank Buster rate gives buyers monthly payments that are hundreds less than comparable homes. When your home is much more affordable, you get a larger pool of potential buyers who can buy your home. When buyers compare homes and see your home is hundreds less per month, you'll get a quicker offer and a higher sale price. Do not lose money selling your home the old way. Sell faster and make more money. Sell with Save Right. Sell with the Bank Buster loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit SaveRight.com.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. And here's Len Thomas.
Thank you very much, Amanda. As we take a look at the morning voyage, we do have that structure emergency on I-15 northbound. That is south of Provo there. And you've got two right lane, the second right lane of 2 lanes blocked on the right shoulder. That is, it looks like that is in Springdale. Otherwise, we have a fresh crash. It's northbound I-15 on the right side as you make your way through 2700 south, and then some slowing either direction around 1300 south. Our 100th spring is right around the corner, and Murdoch Chevrolet can help you take those curves in style. Right now, receive 5.9% for 84 months on the new heavy-duty Silverados. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high should reach 61. We only get to 52 tomorrow, and we have a chance for rain. Then another storm moves in on Monday. Right now, let me double check what our temperature is. We're at 49 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Happy Friday. Governor Spencer Cox has finished taking all the action. He's signed all the bills that needed to be signed or that he wanted to sign. You know what? Important distinction. There's some bills that he signed, other bills that he didn't sign but still passed and became law. A little something you may have forgotten from your 8th grade civics class, that the governor doesn't necessarily have to sign the bill to make it law. The 3 ways this happens is he either signs it and it goes into law, he doesn't sign it, it still goes into law, or if he doesn't want the law, then he has to veto it. Filling in for Debbie Dujanovic today is Greg Skordas filling in. Greg, and he actually took all of these actions. He vetoed some, he signed some, and some he just didn't sign.
And that sort of marks the official end of the 2025 legislative session, when the governor is finally through reviewing the bills. This year, I think you said 582 bills, and some controversial, some that they did kind of early. I think that the 582 has to be a high number. Maybe
Is
a
that the
record. I don't
record?
know.
Yeah.
It's way up there. But boy, the legislature was busy. The governor was busy. He didn't veto very many. And like you say, he let 1 or 2 go through. 1 or 2 I think we want to talk about because it was a little bit of a controversial bill.
Yeah, let's bring on Holly Richardson, editor with Utah Policy, to get an update. And Holly, we were trying to remember, if 582, is that a record or is that just kind of standard?
It's number 2.
Number 2, all right.
Last year was
the record at 591.
Yeah.
So, yep.
582 bills. One of the bills, again, I was trying to go back to the 8th grade civics class. You can sign, you cannot sign, or you can veto. Is there a 4th option out there that I'm not thinking of?
No, just those 3. So, yeah, and he only has 20 days from the end of the legislative session, and those are calendar days, to go through all of the bills. They don't extend the number of days he has based on how many bills they pass, right? So he had to cram that all in. He and his staff, of course, and they worked really long hours getting those picked over, gone through, so that he knew what he was signing.
One of the bills that he did not sign but still went into law is that controversial flag bill. Remind us what that bill was and why did he choose not to sign it, and was there a reason, or did he explain why he didn't sign this one?
Yeah, so this bill is the bill that says that schools and government property in Utah, public schools and government property, can only display a certain number of flags. Specifically, they cannot display any pride flags or anything that has some kind of a political bent that wasn't on the list, right? So you can display a U.S. flag, you can display a Utah flag, but you can't display a pride flag. And the sponsor of the bill, Trevor Lee, said he felt like it was inappropriate for government and schools to, quote unquote, push an agenda. And the governor, while he did not sign it, he said it was veto proof. And so he could have vetoed it, but he said there were enough people who voted for it that they would have just called themselves back into session and gone ahead and overridden the veto. But he had concerns with the bill, and so it's one way of saying I didn't really approve, right? So he said he's deeply disappointed in that the bill didn't go through a compromise process. They had started also that one and didn't go forward with it. He said it was one of the most divisive bills of the session, and he said he has serious concerns with the bill, but it will become the law on May 7th.
Now, it's easy to focus on the pride flag that would be banned, but it also goes into many other flags, perhaps the Gadsden flag that some people find to be controversial as well, or a Trump flag, something along those lines.
Right.
None of those would be allowed as well.
That's correct. So they didn't specifically say what's not allowed. They only listed what is allowed.
You know, Holly, yesterday we were talking about the Sundance Film Festival, and they were down to the final 3 cities. Cincinnati was notified early in the show yesterday that they were out, and then during our show yesterday, they finally announced that it was going to Boulder, Colorado. But there was some talk that this particular bill, and I know there were a lot of things that went into play, had something to do with that, or may have caused Sundance to rethink what they were doing. And so to me, I was a little surprised that Cox wouldn't have vetoed the bill, even knowing that it was that they could call a special session, just to kind of curry a little bit of favor with the Sundance people. I mean, does that make sense? My thinking?
It makes sense, and I don't know if that would have played into his decision making on not signing the bill and just letting it go into law. But I mean, the conversation with Sundance had been ongoing, and I think you can see some pretty clear divides between Democrats and Republicans in the legislature. So Democrats have issued a message that they think it's sad. They think it's, a sign that Utah has lost its ability to attract things that appeal to people across the political spectrum, even though they're not necessarily political events. And Republicans, you've got one senator at least saying, "Bye, Felicia." So,
we're out.
Bye. See you later.
But to be clear, the flag bill, or what flag can be flown, is restricted to government buildings. If you're a private company, you can fly whatever flag you want.
That's right. And your private home, your private yard, you can do all of those things, right? So, this is government buildings and public schools. So even a private school can fly different flags if they want to.
Holly, the governor was also a little bit concerned about the fluoride bill. Now that has now become law, but it seemed like there was some concern about that one as well.
Yeah, the concern is national, right? So it's not just Utah Health. This bill, it makes us the first state in the nation to remove fluoride from our water. So in Utah, we only had about half of our communities actually having fluoridated water. That was one of the governor's points when he signed it. Is he said, look, you would think that you would see some real disparities between the haves and have-nots with fluoridated water. He said we're not really seeing that in the data. This fits right in line with what Robert Kennedy Jr. wants to do nationally. He wants all communities to remove fluoride from the water. And then there's national dental experts that are saying this would be really bad for people's teeth, and it especially impacts people in low-income areas, right? They don't have regular dental visits. They're not going to have it applied necessarily at the dentist because they just don't go as often as people who maybe have more ready cash or ready finances to go to the dentist.
We've talked to the Dental Association on this, and obviously this is something they were concerned about, is removing fluoride from the water. But this was largely just Davis County, Salt Lake County that had fluoride in the water. The rest of the counties in the state do not. And then if you look across nationally, there are a few states that have like 100% fluoridated water, but even amongst other states, it is kind of a mixed bag. Some have more than others.
Yeah, and there's other states right now that have bills moving through the process that would remove fluoride from the water. So North Dakota, Tennessee, Montana, they already have bills moving through, and I wouldn't be surprised to see additional states jump on that.
when we're looking at the number of bills, 582.
582. Yep.
that is an impressive number. Now you've served in the state legislature. Was this a conversation that you would have? Like, are there too many bills? What are the purpose? Are we over legislating?
Yeah, it felt like that, and we were talking about passing maybe 450 bills, right? And saying it's too many, right? You can't have a good conversation about this number of bills. But just as an example, in the 2021 general session, and this was from the governor's final letter to the Speaker of the House and President of the Senate, he said in 2021 the legislature passed 502 bills, and that was 9,646 pages of legislation. This session with the 582, it was 12,703 pages of legislation that we now have to implement in our state. I think another thing that he pointed out that's really concerning is in 5 years we've had 646 education bills passed, about 23%, almost a fourth of all the bills that the legislature has passed in 5 years have been education bills. That's really a heavy burden for the education community, right? And he's really encouraging the legislature and the leadership of the legislature to really see if they can figure out ways to streamline the number of bills that are being passed.
Holly, of course, I have to go into this area, which is the number of bills that dealt with the judiciary, and kind of all over the place. But I want to talk about 3 that were dealt with just recently. One was the bill that would have allowed the governor to pick the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court rather than the justices themselves. And, of course, that one was vetoed. But the other 2, and maybe we can break them down individually, was 203 and 204. 203 dealt with what they call the traditional definition of standing. In other words, the legislature looking at some of the I think it's in response to some of the lawsuits that were brought against their legislation by groups, they say third parties, and say, hey, maybe these people shouldn't have had the right to bring this lawsuit in the first place, and maybe we need to reel in who can actually bring litigation challenging our legislation. And the final one dealt with, and I know this is a very compound question, but you're really smart. The final one dealt with injunctions. That is to say, when a judge orders that a law is enjoined from going into effect because he or she has concerns about the constitutionality of it, that particular decision itself can now be appealed. What do you think the message was, sort of overall, with respect to the legislature and its attempts to sort of rein in the judiciary this year?
Well, I mean, I think some of the worst bills didn't make it all the way through the legislative session, but I think the judiciary was pretty clear. They felt like it was retribution, that there was an attack on the judiciary by the legislature because they didn't like some of the decisions coming out. So even on the injunction one, I think that's a clear pushback against the Utah judiciary system that has put an injunction on the enforcement of Utah's abortion law, right? So, I mean, I think there's really clear lines that you can draw between actions by Utah's judiciary and actions by the legislature. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was particularly hostile this year towards the judiciary. I think some other groups as well felt like they were under fire. I think teachers and teachers unions, right, particularly felt under fire, but I think that was the message that they were sending is we're the boss of you. And of course they're not, because they're supposed to be equal and distinct checks and balances in the separation of powers between 3 different branches of government.
Holly, I'll ask this question of you, but Greg, this is probably to you as well. I wonder, with this injunction law that is passed, does that change anything that is going on right now? And I'm thinking about the abortion law, the trigger law that has been put on pause for the last several years as it makes its way through the courts. Does it affect any legislation that is going on right now?
Greg's probably a better one to answer that,
I would think that given what the legislature has done with just the definition of injunctions, when a court can order that they intended to make these retroactive, that they intended to say, okay, the trigger ban is in effect. There's actually an injunction on the better boundaries or the redistricting lawsuit that was brought by the League of Women Voters, I think. And those are injunctions that are currently in place. And I would think, Holly, that these two laws would allow a review of both the standing on one matter and the injunction on the other. Don't you think that the courts now have to review what they're doing on those on some of these bills?
Yeah, but also I'm not an attorney, so so I will defer to you on that.
Yeah, so I think that's probably the case, and I think the legislature intended to make those retroactive. You mentioned something, Holly, a minute ago about public sector unions and what we've done there. I always thought there was some appetite from the governor to jump in on that, but he didn't seem to have very much interest in that.
I think the same. He had the same kind of language about the flag bill. He was deeply disappointed that there was so much division, that they were not able to come to a compromise. But that one passed overwhelmingly also. So now we have a citizens initiative to get enough signatures to put it on the ballot and overturn it.
Holly Richardson, thank you so much for joining us, Holly. Incredible work this year, as always, with Utah policy and following the laws that are being passed and being debated. So, hey, make sure you check out, subscribe to the newsletter of Utah Policy. Holly, thank you. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, Greg,
Utah Policy is actually one of the things I read first thing in the morning.
You have to.
I just go there every day. When I ran for political office, my campaign manager said, you got to hook up with Utah Policy. Otherwise, you're out of tune. So, yeah, it's very helpful.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if it ever gets sent out just a little bit late, I'm like, you're messing up my day, Holly. We need it on time. So, yeah, Utah Policy is great. But there are several things, Greg. Let's dive into this a little bit more. When the trigger law ban on abortion. So what would the next practical step? If this is retroactive, what do you think could happen? Because I think that is probably something I didn't realize, that if this does go through and they're able to make this retroactive, and what happens next?
So yeah, that's a compound question. Let me get into that a little bit. And just for our listeners' benefit, after the Roe v. Wade decision was flipped over in the Dobbs decision, and that was the name.
Yes.
But yes. So the legislature had already written a bill. They called it the trigger law. In other words, this bill's here, and if Roe is flipped over, the bill goes into effect. We don't even need to have a legislative session. So it went into effect. An action was brought, I think, by Planned Parenthood of Utah, which, again, now that's going to be looked at under the new standing law and say, well, does Planned Parenthood have a dog in the fight? Do we need to reevaluate whether or not they were the correct plaintiff to bring that lawsuit? So that, to answer your question, that particular question is now going to be reexamined by the trial court judge. And secondarily, the trial court entered an injunction saying, there are some concerns about this bill. It may be unconstitutional. I'm going to enjoin it from going into effect. The trigger law is not the law of the land right now, but it's still out there and it's still being litigated. But like you said, that litigation's been going on for over a year now, and while this injunction's in effect. So that judge now has to recognize that his injunction is the subject to an appeal. So the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court may very well look at that injunction and say, you know what? Because usually when I digress a little bit, usually when you have a law or a judge is hearing a case and they issue an injunction, they say, okay, we're going to enjoin this until I can finish hearing the case.
Right.
We're going to litigate the issues. We're going to have a trial. We're going to decide who wins. Now they're saying, well, okay, but while you're making that decision, because it takes a while, maybe we can revisit and have the appellate court look at the injunction itself. And so, yes, to answer your question, that particular law, that particular litigation will be reexamined by the trial court and by the Court of Appeals, Supreme Court maybe, on those two bases. Was there standing? And two, was the injunction appropriate? And should that be appealed? Should that be flipped over?
And if you have the injunction, where you can appeal the injunction, is it right that the law would go into effect until it's figured out into the courts?
I think that's what they're trying. I think that's what the injunction is intended to avoid. This legislation may very well create a situation where legislature passes a law, the judge puts it on hold, the judge issues an injunction, the injunction set aside so the law's back into effect, then the case is heard, it's overturned, the law's not in effect, then the appeal, you know what I mean? So the whole idea of the injunction is let's put everything on hold until all the issues can be resolved. Now we may very well have a law that's in place, not in place, back in place, and it could create some confusion. But I think the legislature, if I was to take their side on this, and I don't necessarily, is to say, why should an injunction stall the implementation of a bill for what could be a very, very long period of time?
So the law would be in effect until a judge or somebody rules that it is unconstitutional or it's not appropriate. Right. And then, only then, would it be, put on pause or stopped.
Yep, you're right.
Well, fascinating. You're right. That you're the perfect person to talk about that, because that's a huge story, and we'll watch and to see how the legal matters proceed from here. Up next, Senator Mike Lee wants to get rid of the TSA. Are you celebrating, or are there problems with this?
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
One of the best things about Salt Lake City fat loss, I'm speaking too quickly right now. Okay, here we go. Effective. That is the word that comes to my mind. With Salt Lake City fat loss, it was incredible how effective it was, the program. So the way it works, you basically have 60 days in a reduction phase, and that's where you really hone in on specific foods and groups and cut out some of the terrible stuff that we so often eat. And then for those 60 days, you will see some incredible results. You could lose up to 1 pound of fat per day. Many people will lose 20, 30 pounds in just a month or two. But with Salt Lake City fat loss, I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. And it was incredible. And then after those 60 days, they teach you how to keep that weight off. You don't have to say no to cookies forever. Don't worry about it. It's just, okay, how do I reintroduce some of these foods without letting it get away from me? So if you're interested, right now there's a great spring special going on, an extra $200 off the program. Go ahead and reach out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss. slcfatloss.com is the website, slcfatloss.com.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Myth. You might have heard that you need to spend a fortune these days to get a powerful computer. Correction. At PC Laptops, we wanted to prove that wrong. So here's the most amazing deal that we've ever done at PC Laptops for you in over 30 years. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over 1 terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Take one home today. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
Over 3/4 of Americans suffer with foot pain every day. But Foot Solutions in Orem is here to give back your quality of life. Meet Patty.
I'm Patty from Saratoga Springs. I'm 74 years old. I just one day felt like I had a really bad stone bruise on the bottom of my foot, so I actually went to the doctor, and he goes, "You've got a severe case of plantar fasciitis." I'm really an active person. I work outside a lot in my yard. I like to kayak, and it was slowing me down from being able to launch my kayak. I could hardly get to the bathroom in the morning. The pain was so stabbing and bad.
What made the difference for Patty?
I discovered Foot Solutions in Orem. I was talking to a friend that I knew had plantar fasciitis, and she said, "Have you tried Foot Solutions?" I went there and got some great orthotics and some cute supportive shoes. Then in about a month, the pain was almost completely gone. Talk about relief.
You deserve a life free of foot pain. Just search for Foot Solutions in Orem and find out more at footsolutions.com.
You really ought to go there. It's a good place.
.930 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. The BYU men's basketball team wrapped up their season last night when red-hot Alabama hit a record-setting 25 three-pointers to knock the Cougars out of the NCAA tournament. BYU head coach Kevin Young says he's proud his team beat all expectations, reaching the Sweet 16.
Just extremely proud of our guys. You know, I just told them in the locker room, which is something we hadn't talked about literally all year until just now. I mean, this is a team that was picked 9th in the Big 12, and we're one of the last 16 teams standing.
The hype for next year's team has already started, with the Cougars getting the top recruit of the country, A.J. DeBansa. Convicted child abuser Jody Hildebrand is petitioning the state to reduce her sentence. She and Ruby Franke both received sentences that could keep them behind bars for up to 30 years. Hildebrand is claiming she did not understand all of her rights as a defendant when she took the plea deal and blames her defense lawyer. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. King Charles suffered a temporary setback in his cancer treatment overnight.
The palace announced late last night that King Charles was taken to the hospital briefly after experiencing side effects from his ongoing cancer treatment. Now, they're calling these side effects temporary, but they must have been pretty serious because he was in the hospital for a brief period of observation. Now, palace sources called this just a bump in the road, but it does mean that all his events today have been cancelled.
ABC's international correspondent James Longman reporting from London. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 546 points. Right now we're at 42,056. Coming up, we could see some rain tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Do you have a garage door guy? Because I have never had a garage door guy until today and until now, and that's because I learned of Advanced Garage Doors. Advanced Garage Doors has so many great things to offer. If you're having problems, or if you want to install a new garage door, if you're having a problem with your garage door opener, go ahead and reach out to the experts at Advanced Garage Door. They have a lifetime warranty that includes labor. As long as you follow their recommendations, there's a KSL listener special. You're going to get a free garage door when you purchase a garage door, free garage door inspection with no obligation. I didn't even know you were supposed to inspect your garage door, but it makes total sense, right? Is it in balance? Are the rollers healthy? Is it insulated properly? Is it closing, or is it as drafty as your downstairs? You also will get $100 off any parts needed for repair. They've got certified technicians available 24/7 with same-day service. All you have to do is reach out to them. Go online. Advanced-door.com is the website. Advanced-door.com, or give them a call, 801-989-DOOR. 801-989-DOOR.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. And here's Len Thomas.
Well, Amanda, we're looking at a pretty good drive out there right now. In Salt Lake City, southbound I-15 near 13 south, a crash with two cars on the right shoulder is slowing traffic just a little bit here. And further south of the metro area from UDOT, a structure emergency on I-15. This is north of Mona and is northbound I-15 affecting the right lane and right shoulder there. Otherwise, looking pretty good on the freeways. I-80 is good in both directions. Something magical is on its way to Salt Lake City. Harry Potter, the exhibition, opens May 24th at the shops at Southtown. Get your tickets at harrypotterexhibition.com. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
We cool off today with a high of just 61. Tomorrow, 52 with a good chance of rain. And then we have another storm of rain moving in on Monday. Right now, let's see what our current temperature is. We're at 49 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
What started off as, quite frankly, a joke, or at least that's how I took it, as a joke, that we were going to buy Greenland, seems to be, I don't know, maybe it's pie in the sky. Maybe it's
not
never
very
going to happen.
funny anymore, right?
It seems
like it's serious.
It seems like this might be happening, whether it happens or not, but it feels like there's a little bit of a full court press, to use a NCAA tournament metaphor there. It's a full court press right now on Greenland. We just learned something, a little breaking news coming from the Deseret News. It looks like Mike Lee is joining Vice President J.D. Vance on his trip to Greenland. What started off is Vice President Vance's wife, Osha. She is going to go and have a cultural experience in Greenland. And then all of a sudden, Vice President joins her. And now Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, joins as well. Not the only person. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, Energy Secretary Chris Wright. Everybody's showing up to Patuxent Space Base. I knew we had some bases there. I didn't realize it was the space base. It's not the air base. It's the space base in Greenland. Greg Skortis is filling in for Debbie Dujanovic today. I truly thought this was, funny, let's buy Greenland. And now you've got heavy hitters showing up to Greenland. We're seeing protests right now, and there's some folks from Greenland that are excited about the possibility. Very interesting that this is actually unfolding.
It's not actually a great time in our world to become a member of the United States. I think that, and I say that with all sincerity, but I think the rest of the planet is looking at the USA right now going, what's going on in America? And so many countries are concerned, so many countries are scared, and I mean, we're the greatest country in the world. We have been for a long time, and we will continue to be. But, boy, I don't think there are other nations that are anxious to join as the 51st state.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Obviously, again, President Trump has talked about Canada. You know, hey, Canada's going to be the 51st state.
Right.
Again, what I thought was trolling at first, it seems like there might be some teeth, whether it happens or not. Let's talk to the person that broke this story for us, Cami Mondo with the Deseret News. Cami, looks like Senator Lee is jumping on, and it's a whole host of leaders from the United States that are making this trip to Greenland.
Right, yeah, the trip wasn't originally just going to be the Second Lady, Usha Vance, going, but yeah, it's turned into kind of this bigger group that are going there. You know, Lee said yesterday, I think it was last night, that he mentioned that he was actually going to be going, and I left early this morning.
So any idea what the purpose is? Because, again, originally the thought was, hey, we're going to have a little culture, we're going to enjoy Greenland, but now when you start bringing in the National Security Advisor, a senator, as well as the vice president, it seems like it changes the dynamics.
Right. It seems like all that is on their agenda for today. You know, it's just going to be a day trip. They're going to be visiting a military base that's there. Vance is going to be getting some briefings, it appears. I'm not sure what Mike Lee's, role will be in all of that, if he'll also be receiving those briefings. And then Vance is going to be speaking to some of the service members there, and then they'll be heading back tonight.
Cami, you may not know the answer to this, but do we have any idea what the administration of Greenland is feeling about this? Are they welcoming Air Force 2 with open arms? Are they apprehensive, or are we not hearing from them at all?
Right. It's not entirely clear because, as you had mentioned, just a few minutes ago, that this was going to be, a larger trip originally, and then now it's kind of narrowed down. I've seen some reports that, some like people in the Greenland government didn't want to give the second lady any more trips than they were originally planning. And so it seems like, they're a little apprehensive having the U.S. government come over there while President Trump is so openly speaking about, wanting to take over, wanting to annex it. And so it's not entirely clear if they are, really excited about this trip or if they're really wanting to engage, but it seems like it's just going to be a short trip and maybe that's it.
As I'm reading your article in the Deseret News, I see that you referenced a tweet from Mike Lee. He says, if Greenland isn't green, I'll feel like I felt when I learned that antitrust is not the antonym of trust. So it seems like he's having some fun with it, maybe trying to diffuse the heaviness of what it means to have such leadership show up on Greenland's on their country. And also, I wonder, are they going to be going directly to the military base? Are they flying into the military base, or are they just flying in commercial?
Right, and it seems like they might just be flying straight to the military base. I know they had left on the Air Force, presidential airplane this morning. So it seems like they could just be going straight to the military base. But yeah, as you said, Mike Lee has kind of been poking fun a little bit, posting this morning, that he's going to Greenland. He's never been there. He's asking for suggestions of what to do. I'm not sure how much he'll actually be able to see or do while he's there. But, he's only ever kind of suggested Trump's, proposals to take over Greenland. It hasn't seemed like there was really any teeth with it, at least on Mike Lee's side. But yeah, he might just be diffusing some tension while he's there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Cammie, because this is a follow-up to Trump's sort of inclination to purchase Greenland or to take it over. And it seems like a logical conclusion to what we're seeing is that this could very well be a step in that direction, or maybe it's just a peace mission to say, look, we're here to be friends and not foes. But this has got to cause some concern, not just here, but also in Greenland, given Trump's inclination to make them, a property of the United States.
Right. Regardless of, what the intentions might be, this is a big trip. Vice President Vance, it makes him, the highest-ranking U.S. official to ever go to Greenland or even travel that far north while on official business. So regardless of, if he's going there to maybe diffuse tension or if he is going there to kind of further these plans along to take over Greenland, it does mark a major step in whichever direction they're trying to go.
Cammie Mondo, thank you so much for joining us from the Deseret News. Has been following this, and we appreciate you taking the time as Senator Mike Lee has jumped on Air Force Two, is going to land in Greenland. We don't know exactly what the purpose of this visit is and why he's there, but obviously it's impossible not to look at this and listen to what President Trump has said about the importance, not just, hey, it would be fun to buy up Greenland, but he talks about it being an important place militarily. We already have military bases in Greenland. We have agreements with Denmark. So Greenland is actually under the Danes, under Denmark control, even though they kind of have their own autonomy in many ways. But obviously this is something, Greenland has, I think, 50,000 people that live there. So this is very small.
What's that small?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tiny, and everybody lives just on the southern coast, right? Despite the size of Greenland, everybody lives along the coast.
Interesting. Well, I don't know that that's ever going to be part of the United States, but it's an interesting conversation, and Mike Lee's going to give us some feedback when he gets back.
Yeah, this will be fascinating, and it does open up a larger conversation. If this really does happen, let's play the hypothetical. This is probably for another day. A hypothetical, if you have superpower nations like the United States or China or Russia, they can go in and buy up countries, old school Louisiana Purchase style.
Right, yeah.
Right? What does that mean? Does that open up doors, possibilities? Would this be the norm? A fascinating conversation that we will have eventually. But interesting, Senator Mike Lee traveling with the vice president, with national security advisor to Greenland. We'll see what becomes of it.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors to tell you about our 10-year everything guarantee. Most contractors spout off having great warranties that last forever. But those warranties are always, and I do mean always, riddled with loopholes, exception, fine print, and nonsense. At RGS Exteriors, we cover everything: parts, labor, material, Everything and anything for 10 full years. There's no cost to you whatsoever. No hoops to jump through, no exceptions. Yes, the products we sell, like James Hardy Siding, our windows, gutter covers, come with a 25 to 50-year manufacturer's warranty, just like everybody else. But the truth is, the products almost never fail. It's always the labor and material which is never covered, so you're stuck paying for service calls. For peace of mind, call RGS Exteriors. You'll sleep easy for 10 full years. 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online rgsutah.com. Gutters, siding, windows, and all exteriors with the 10-year everything guarantee.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I love to talk about NPS. It indeed is a nice place to save, and they get their inventory. I get asked this all the time. Where does it come from? Overstock, unclaimed, refused shipments from various companies around the country and even around the world. And NPS acquires that and gives you savings of 20 to 70% each and every day. And then on top of that, each of their 4 stores, they'll have in-store deals that save you even more. You get the products that you want at unbelievable prices. And sometimes you'll find things that you weren't even looking for, but you end up absolutely loving. Treasure hunting at its best awaits you at NPS. And of course, you can get your groceries there too at very competitive prices. They're on North State Street in Orem, North Main Street in Layton, and in Salt Lake City, just off Redwood Road.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Looks like this is a special Senator Mike Lee half hour here on the Dave and Dujanovic show. And no Dujanovic today. It's a Greg Skordas. So it's
we had a lot
David
of John
Skordas
Curtis
show.
yesterday, so it's only fair
That's right.
that we pivot to Mike Lee, our
Let's
two
see.
senators.
Coming up on Monday, Blake Moore. On Tuesday, Burgess Owens.
Celeste Malloy.
Celeste Malloy will be on Wednesday.
Right,
she's way out there. But sure enough, okay, so Senator Mike Lee is traveling to Greenland today on Air Force Two with J.D. Vance. I think his wife's already there. Usha Vance, a national security advisor. I mean, we don't know what that means. We don't know what's going to come of this. But sure enough, President Trump has talked about buying Greenland. That's story number one. Story number two is Senator Mike Lee just introduced a bill to abolish the TSA.
I'll bet he didn't have to go through TSA to get on his Air Force Two to Greenland.
You just
He'd
get
bypass
ushered
that
on
altogether.
Like you're pre-checked.
Yeah.
If you're a senator and you're getting on,
you're good to go.
You're definitely TSA pre-checked.
But you're right. Lee, alongside Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, introduced the Abolish the TSA Act on Thursday, which would dissolve the TSA and establish a separate Office of Aviation Security Oversight to manage airport security. The office would operate completely under the FAA and transfer security operations to private companies instead. That's interesting. And it's one of those, maybe it's a problem that doesn't need to be fixed, but I read this from Tuberville. He says this: the TSA is an inefficient, bureaucratic mess that infringes on Americans' freedoms. It's a bloated agency riddled with waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer dollars that has led to unnecessary delays, invasive pat-downs, and bag checks, and frustration for travelers. Wow. So I don't think of TSA as being inefficient, but apparently some people do.
There's a few things that stood out to me, and this is what Senator Mike Lee had referenced in part, saying, listen, TSA, obviously we've all been through it. We've had to take off the belt, hold up our pants, take off the shoes, as we're stripping down and peeling off all our jackets to go through TSA and all the scanners they have. So it feels very secure when I go through it. But Senator Lee says we've done checks and we've done tests. What they will do is they will have guns and bombs. Not real bombs, not real guns, but they will try to get it through TSA.
To test TSA, see how they're doing.
100%. They're just trying to see, hey, are you catching the stuff that you're supposed to be catching? And this goes back to 2015, 2017 as well, and it was almost identical, 2 years apart. They found that 95% of stuff was getting through.
See, I don't believe that. I mean, if that's what they found, that's what they found. But that, to me, boy, when I go through TSA, maybe I just don't look good or something. But
you don't hide well
you,
enough.
You got to put your hands over your head and stand there, and they do this whole search thing. It's quite invasive, and it's quite. It looks like I think the technology is pretty good. I mean, you can see the gum wrapper in my pocket. You know what I mean? Like, let alone a gun or a bomb or something like that.
So I was skeptical at first when I see that. I think, as often happens when people are trying to make a point, they may select or cherry pick some of the information they have. But I was watching the questioning of TSA Administrator David Pekoski from Mike Lee. This was 6 years ago, and he was talking specifically about this. And the TSA Administrator, he admitted this is legitimately happening. 95% of stuff was getting through in these tests.
Wow.
And he was asked, well, what's the problem here? What are you going to do about it? Again, this was 6 years ago, but the TSA Administrator, David Pekoski, he's still the TSA Administrator. And this is what he was blaming for missing 95% of the guns and bombs that they were testing, that they weren't really getting through. This was just a test case. But they asked, okay, well, so what's going on?
As I look at this problem, there are kind of three ways you can address it. You can put better technology out there, which we sorely need. You can change your procedures, and you can provide better training for your officers. One of the things that I have consistently stated is that those test results are not a reflection on officer performance. They're a reflection on technology, procedures, and training that systematically needs to be provided by the agency.
Okay, so he talks about three things. Technology needs to improve, and I would submit that just from what I've seen going through TSA in the last 6 years, that there is an increase in technology. There is an increase in the way that they can search. The whole X-ray, the whole body search is much, much different than what we did in the past. The procedures, it seems like, I mean, I can understand Lee and Tuberville saying, boy, it's an unnecessary delay and infringement on people's individual rights. But I think most of us realize I'd rather be held up in line and know that I'm on a safe aircraft than rush through wondering what the person next to me's got in their pocket. And then the training of the officers. I find personally that most of the TSA agents are polite. They're thorough. They check your, you hand them your driver's license, and then they look at you and go, yeah, that looks like the same person. I mean, they seem to be taking their job seriously and kind of no BS. They walk you through it and make sure that you're doing your job. Take your belt, take your shoes, do this and that. So I don't know. I see it as a problem that doesn't need to be fixed, but others disagree.
The question I would have is this something that only the federal government can do? Because my litmus test, whenever I look at whether or not something is necessary, is can private industry do this? Or can just the federal government do this? Right? When I look at the U.S. military, I don't think, who could do this better?
Boeing.
Boeing, they're going to be much
Right.
better. No, I don't think that. I look at the federal government, I say, only they can provide national security, right? That is, I want the Army, I want the Air Force, the investment, all of that. When I look on the state level, when we're talking about a police force, I don't want to privatize police force. This is something that the state should handle. This is something that we should be investing in, fire departments. I don't want all of this to be privatized.
On the other hand, though, we are considering the privatization, and some states do, of the penal system, jails and prisons.
Yeah.
And we have historically thought of those as being a state function, that the government's going to handle that, but we've privatized some. We don't do that here in Utah, but there's been some mixed success with that. I don't encourage it necessarily, but there's always the notion, Dave, that maybe the private sector can do it better.
And that's what Senator Lee is saying, is that when you look at the TSA, because when you have a large bureaucracy and you have a very large government entity, and we see this in many different ways, they are slow moving.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you, for example, if we're going to change technology, say we want to change scanners, you're changing scanners for all 50 states,
right?
All across the board, and the capital investment is absolutely insane. If you privatize it, then perhaps Delta can say, okay, well, we want to run this. We want to invest and make sure that our travelers feel completely and totally safe. There's the new technology. We're going to invest in this, and other airlines can make that decision for themselves. So to privatize it, typically, if you have something privatized, then you have the competition. Everybody's trying to one-up each other and provide even better. And that is the argument that Senator Lee is making of why privatizing TSA is better, is they would be more nimble, more apt to improve technology instead of trying to move a mountain.
Yeah, I wonder about the Fourth Amendment issues, though, because what we're doing really is we're searching people. We're making sure that they are safe to enter an airport. And the Fourth Amendment applies to the government. It doesn't apply to private individuals searching one another. The government can't infringe without probable cause, without due process, without a warrant, without something like that. So we'd have to work that out as well. Like, what level of infringement can a TSA, a private company, have in searching an individual? I mean, do you deputize them to some effect? I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but to me, that's. I mean, when I go into a courthouse, the bailiffs are there, but they've all got shirts on that say they're part of the local county sheriff, whatever the county where the courthouse is, or a deputy constable or something like that. So I don't know, privatizing something like this where there is that intrusion, that search of an individual infringes on whether or not a private versus a government agency can search a person, and the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to private searches.
Yeah, as we go to the Jazz game, I get, the old pat down, or I get wanded, and I got to go through, and if I refuse, they're like, well,
can't come to the game.
Can't come to the game. Looks like you're going to be missing the game, Mr. Noriega. All right, up next, Utah is saying goodbye to Sundance. Not Butch and Sundance Film Festival. How much of a loss is this really? We'll hear from Sundance alumni next.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
If you're interested in losing some weight, let me tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss and why it was so effective for me. They told me early on that they had the secret to losing up to a pound of fat every day for 2 months. 60 days, you could lose up to a pound of fat. Now, many clients will lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two, but I saw those huge reductions. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. In 3 weeks, I lost 25 pounds. It was incredible with the Salt Lake fat loss program. I did it without injections. I did it without surgery. There was no insane exercise routine. There weren't prepackaged meals that I had to invest in. I've done prepackaged meals before in the past, and after 2 weeks, I'm like, I can't eat these prepackaged meals anymore. So with the Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program, you'll learn what to eat, how much to eat. It's easy to follow, and the results are fantastic. If you do it right now, you're going to get an extra $200 off the program. Just reach out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss by going to their website, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's time once again for our free furnace sale, where you buy a new air conditioner and we give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free. You just pay the labor. And here's the best part. There's up to $5,600 in rebates and tax incentives available right now that can help you stack even more savings on top of this already amazing deal. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, don't miss this opportunity to offset the cost by using someone else's money. To learn more, all you have to do is contact Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. One of our HVAC supervisors will come to your home, show you exactly how much you can save with our free furnace sale, and walk you through how to collect every dollar of rebate incentives your new system qualifies for. We even have a rebate support specialist to help you if you have questions. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. Google Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story. KSL has confirmed Senator Mike Lee is joining Vice President J.D. Vance and other top members of the Trump administration on their trip to Greenland. Lee released a statement saying he is grateful for the opportunity where they will, quote, forge a new future for the historic and strategically vital land. Senator Lee is also proposing some new legislation, a bill to fully eliminate the TSA.
In a statement, Lee said his bill will shift airport security from the TSA to private companies, with approvals coming from the Office of Aviation Security Oversight. Lee says the TSA not only invades the privacy and personal space of most Americans, it also has repeatedly failed tests to find weapons and explosives. He's referring to a 2015 report showing TSA agents missed 95% of mock explosives and banned weapons investigators snuck in. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake rattled Southeast Asia this morning, killing over 100 people and injuring even more. Jack Brown, who lives in Bangkok, tells ABC News he saw a large apartment building under construction fall.
The building's actually been under construction for a couple of years, and I think it's probably around about 30 stories or so. I knew immediately that there must be workers on that site, and it was just horrifying to see that destruction.
The full extent of death, injury, and destruction is not immediately clear. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 557 right now. We're at 42,057. Coming up, we do have rain in the forecast for the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:03. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with a Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's with limited time savings on the supplies pros need. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $100 on every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances. And don't miss your chance to activate and earn 3 times the points on select DeWalt and Klein tools. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 3/28. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See associate or Lowe's.com for more details on qualifying items.
It's the movie show, guys. Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales. We're broadcasting live today from NPS in Salt Lake City at 1600 Empire Road. And
you're breathing kind of heavy, brother. What's up?
I'm not breathing heavy at all. It's exciting to be here. We've got Igor with us to tell us about some of the great deals that they've got at NPS. Are we going to talk grocery or are we going to talk retail this time?
Let's talk a little bit about grocery.
Love getting groceries here at NPS.
Yeah, Easter is just around the corner, and we have a lot of goodies for Easter, so it's a good time to be here in NPS shopping and saving.
It's always a good time to be here.
Yes.
But now you're going to get some extra good timing.
Yes.
So what do we got?
So we have selected chocolate, marshmallow, and caramel eggs for 50 cents.
What? Oh, Easter basket stuffers or, face stuffers if they don't even make it into the Easter basket.
Yes, yeah. And that's the good thing. And we have selected large Australian chocolate bars. We have 99 cents.
Ooh.
These ones are like $2 in the store.
Did you say Australian?
Australian.
Down under bars, cool.
And those we have a limit of 5 per customer.
Yeah, because they know that people are going to want a lot of those.
Yes.
Huh.
And then we have some lots of goodies for Easter, so everybody should be here.
Ooh, look at that.
Saving.
Raspberry chocolate, I like that. I see chips. I see some pasta. Wow.
Yes.
By the way, pasta, you always want to stock up on pasta. If you got a kid who's in college, NPS is the best place to get food because you can stock their whole fridge, their whole pantry for way, way less than the grocery store. And I promise you, NPS has everything that your college-age kid loves.
Exactly.
Everything.
Yes. Thank you. And on the non-food side of the store, we have the great deals that we always have. All clothing is half off.
Okay, so first of all, it's 30 to 70% off the retail price because these are brand new items. And now you're telling me on top of that, it's another 50% off.
Another 50% off. And guess what? All winter coats and all of that, 70% off.
70% off on winter coats. These are the kinds of deals that you find at NPS at their 4 locations, 2 here in Salt Lake, 1 in Layton at 1150 North Main, and 1 in Orem at 475 North State.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. And here's Len Thomas.
Well, Amanda, rolling with good pacing and spacing in the 10 o'clock hour. I-15 smoking along and just showing no delays pacing to Willard Bay. You're heading up to the ski areas. Well, the roads are looking very dry. In fact, hope the snow's not all melting there. I know we had a lot there. There should be still some snow to go skiing on. If you're out there on US 191 northbound, US 191, there's a crash out there near Glendale. That is Greendale Junction. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
The weather will cool down today. It'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 61. That colder weather will stick around this weekend. Tomorrow we have rain and 52 for a high. Right now it's 50 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
I don't know how else you say it, but the Sundance Film Festival, they broke up with us. They left us. It was one-sided. We wanted the relationship to work, and they weren't interested in working on anything.
We loved them.
We loved them.
Who didn't like Sundance? I mean, I thought it was the greatest thing. And not that I ever went. Excuse me, but I just thought it was a wonderful thing.
The idea of Sundance was certainly a wonderful thing. Like many relationships, the idea of the relationship was good. But
Better
listen,
than the actual relationship.
Just like a good old breakup, I'm going to pull the full on, I never loved you anyway. Fine, go ahead and leave.
Yeah.
It's time. Go ahead and leave for Boulder, Colorado, you cheater.
Yesterday we were talking, we were still optimistic because there were 3 finalists, Cincinnati, Boulder, Salt Lake Park City, and we hear Cincinnati's out of the running. So we got a 50-50 chance. And we're the front runner because we've had it for 40 some odd years, and then boom, right before our show ended yesterday, we learned that it had gone to Boulder, Colorado.
And now we're starting to learn why, and it makes some sense. Number one, the incredible financial incentives that Boulder, Colorado gave to the Sundance Film Festival, $34 million in tax incentives to move to Boulder, Colorado. That's like 10 times what we are offering here in Utah. That makes a lot of sense.
Money.
Money. But then Y2 Analytics has done a nice job of breaking down what the Sundance Film Festival meant to Utah. And the amount of money that was brought in because of Sundance annually was $132 million. $132 million over just a few weeks in, end of January, early February. A couple thousand jobs, $70 million in wages, and $14 million in state and tax revenue.
That's a big hit. That's a huge hit. And it's something we've gotten used to for 40-some-odd years. It's been part of our economy. It's been part of our culture. It's been part of the Summit County, the Park City area. It's just been a huge – I always remember it up there when I worked on the patrol up at Park City, just the people that were coming into the town and the celebrities that were on the mountain. And just I loved the vibe. I really did. It brought a lot of people in. It brought a lot of money in. And the films that came out of Sundance, if you think about that over the decades – some huge films, and I'm not going to name any off because I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Well, that's not my favorite one. But anyway, there were some great films and some independent filmmakers, and just it brought so much culture. I think Robert Redford sacrificed so much for that, and now it's gone. It will be at least in 2027.
So what was the reason? Was it just financial incentive? Were we not competitive enough? The Utah Film Commission's Virginia Pierce joined Utah's Morning News, and this is her thoughts. This is why she thought they broke up with us.
It was probably a lot of factors that came into the decision. The organization now is very different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, and it seems like maybe they wanted to start fresh. It's definitely disappointing for us. I feel like, 40-year partnership ended with such a big bang and not much, camaraderie at the end. But I guess I wish them the best.
Yeah.
That 100% sounds like a breakup,
yeah,
right?
There you go, right.
I want the best for them.
Yeah.
I hope they succeed.
Can we still be friends?
Governor Spencer Cox spoke about this on the PBS show that he does a monthly interview in his broadcast. And he said, I think they're going to regret it. I think they're going to regret the decision they made. And the example he used was the Utah Outdoor Retailers Convention Association. They left for a couple of years, and then they came back.
To Colorado, too. Yep.
Yeah, they left to Colorado, and then they were like, never mind, we want to come back. We love you, Utah. Will you take me back?
Right.
And it is interesting to watch these things unfold, and I do think sometimes we take for granted something that's been around. With 40 years, we're like, oh, you'll never leave me. You'll never leave me. And sure enough, they packed up and they left. So who's been impacted, and what does this mean to Utah? We're excited to talk to Jenny McKenzie. She's a filmmaker. And Jenny, you're from UVU, film professor, Sundance alumnus, had a film at Sundance in 2018. I got to get your reaction. Are you shocked? Did you see this coming?
I am devastated. I'm devastated for our state. I'm devastated for my students at UVU who participate in the festival every year. It's a really integral part of our curriculum. And even in class yesterday, I spent the first 20 minutes just really processing this with students who were so sad. And I've been an audience member for over 25 years, and there is no better audience than Utahns. It is, you said it well, Sundance is a part of our state, it's a part of our culture, and this is just, I'm heartbroken.
Jenny, talk to our listeners about what that participation looked like from your students.
Well, UVU is the largest state university in Utah. We have 40% first-generation college-educated students, and in my program, Digital Cinema, we have 390 students who are enrolled in that program. And they go to at least 2 Sundance films through each festival. I actually teach a course that was a pilot program last year. Eugene Hernandez came to our class and spoke, and he was very generous with his time, but they participate. Some of them are even volunteers at the festival. And this is a marketplace that is so critical for our students to learn about how they get their films out into the world. We learn about distribution, we learn about PR, we learn about marketing. We know how to pitch our films at festivals. So this kind of opportunity for the students in Utah was really unprecedented.
And what about your own personal involvement with Sundance? Dave indicated that you actually had a film there years ago. Tell us about your own involvement with Sundance over the years.
Yeah, as an alumni and as an avid audience member for 25 years, I got really lucky and had a film that was there in 2018, and it's a bucket list experience that you sort of never dream could happen. And it was just incredible to have our film premiere at Sundance. And I am so sad as a valued alumni that they are leaving our great state.
Did Sundance grow too big? And I don't mean the number of people that were showing up, but when Sundance first started off, I thought the mission very much indie filmmakers, lesser known actors. And then, before you know it, it's like Jennifer Lopez and John Malkovich and Benedict Cumberbatch. Had it grown beyond its original purpose?
Well, that's a good question. It's definitely become more commercial and certainly moved away from lower budget independent films, but they had a lot of first-time directors last year. They had quite a few budgets that were in sort of the moderate category, but it really has, I think, been influenced by bigger studios and a more commercial market, which is hard for independent filmmakers because there are a handful of studios that really, in many ways now, to get films distributed that are the gatekeepers. And so I think that's been an ongoing conversation that's been challenging for filmmakers like me that really aren't making films necessarily for Netflix, for Disney, and we're making those films, getting them to festivals, and hoping that that's how we get first looks.
Does this get filled by other smaller, maybe startups? Well, maybe even like something like Slamdance. Does this open up opportunities for other film festivals to fill this gap?
Well, Slamdance left. Slamdance is in LA.
Oh, geez,
So
I didn't realize it. Now Slamdance is gone. We have nobody.
Yeah. We actually have one of the biggest queer film festivals in the country that's been here. We have a couple of other festivals one is that in Utah County, which is the Zion Film Festival. There's another one that's in Dixie that is a doc film festival. But I think, South by Southwest, Tribeca, Toronto, it gives them a chance to soar, and we'll see what happens to Sundance 2.0 when it moves to Boulder. I think they're going to face some real challenges, and I'm concerned about the move.
Jenny, thank you so much for joining us. Jenny McKenzie is a filmmaker, a UVU film professor, and Sundance alumnus. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's go to Hillary Ryder Azaretti is the president of Redhead Marketing and PR based in Park City. You moved here in 2001 because of Sundance, and you ended up liking it, and you stayed here in Utah. What's your reaction? Maybe walk us through what brought you here, or why did Sundance bring you here?
Good morning, Dave. Thanks for having me. Yes, you are absolutely right. I am a native New Yorker, and Sundance really played a pivotal role in transforming my life trajectory. I moved from the city right after 9/11 upon accepting a position in the press office of the 2002 Sundance Film Festival.
If you had to point to something, Hillary, that would have been the cause of this change, and maybe it's just change is just part of what's going on, but why do you think, because it has been so successful, why do you think Sundance, first of all, was looking to move, and second, moved out of such a great venue?
Well, I think there are a variety of reasons, as your past guests indicated. I do think that people in Park City grew wary of it And it was sure an inconvenience for 10 days out of a 365-day calendar, but I think everybody underestimated the value that Sundance brought to our community. And I'm not just speaking financially. It was the diversity, the culture, the thought-provoking films, and not to mention the international prestige of hosting it. But I think certainly the politics of Utah and it being a pretty intolerant climate lately played a role, as well as, financial incentives for Sundance to depart.
And what was your personal involvement with Sundance? And what had you been doing the last several years as it relates to Sundance when it was here?
Well, occasionally clients would hire Redhead Marketing and PR to elevate their awareness during the festival, whether it was lifestyle brands or documentaries. And, while it was a very small piece of our business, it was certainly an exciting one, and it really dropped off with the pandemic. I think the festival truly evolved since then, or maybe devolved and lost a bit of its luster. But, for me, I just loved personally participating in the festival. Again, the vibrancy that it brought to our community just cannot be overstated.
In the 25 years that you've been here and experiencing the Sundance Film Festival, and it's been around since the 1970s on some level, in some iteration, but has Sundance lost its way? I asked this of the previous guest of when it was originally set up. I felt like it was very much independent films, new directors, indie actors, people that don't get shots and they get to make some pretty incredible films. And then now you've seen films with multi-million-dollar budgets, A-list actors that are coming in. Did it become too big for what its purpose was? And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think like any great thing, nothing stays the same. But what we saw earlier on with lower budget films making it big, like the Blair Witch Project and Sex, Lies, and Videotape, that, a lot of these films have gone on to win Academy Awards regardless of their budget. But I don't think that Sundance really lost the spirit of independent film the way your previous guest suggested. And we've seen recent examples of really great independent films that, yes, have won awards and had some reasonably notable actors in them, like Call Me By Your Name, Coda, and just at this past year's Academy Awards, A Real Pain, which I saw the premiere of last year at Sundance, won Kieran Culkin an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Hillary, you mentioned earlier that some of the residents or some of the people were growing a little bit weary of it. Was it because of the influx of people, just too much going on, or what do you? Because Park City, we'll have days up there when there'll be 10,000 skiers. So it would seem that Sundance wouldn't affect things that much. But was there a sense that maybe the community was, like you said, getting tired of it?
Well, the traffic was extremely problematic. I've heard anecdotally from businesses on Main Street that, Sundancers aren't here to shop. They're here to party and go to films. So I think they've seen a decline in sales over the years. So I think the business community sentiment has certainly deteriorated. But that being said, it put us on the global stage. And I think that outweighs, any sacrifices that people may have had to make for 10 days. I've also heard, a lot of restaurant servers say they make more money during a regular week of the ski season than they do during the festival. And I also don't think businesses have been getting rented out by brands to the extent that they were pre-COVID.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time. Hillary Ryder Azaretti is the president of Redhead Marketing and PR. Was based in Park City, moved here in 2001 because of Sundance, and ended up staying here in Utah. Thank you, Hillary. And Greg, again, it's one of those things. I will say I like the idea of Sundance probably more than I liked Sundance itself. And the reason I say that is I I never went there. I never went and watched indie movies. That's like not my thing. It's not. I love movies, but I don't necessarily go there to watch the movies. And I think, well, maybe I just feel like the spurned lover. You know, I'm mad because someone said they didn't want me. So now you're like, well, now I do want you.
Yeah, but you mentioned the Outdoor Retailers Association leaving Utah. That was a big deal several years ago, but they came back. And I'm wondering if Sundance does a try with Boulder, which is a beautiful city and probably has the infrastructure for this, but maybe 2 or 3 years from now, they miss us. They get lonely and they miss their old partner. And I don't know. I have some optimism that we'll have Sundance or some iteration of that in the future here in Utah, because we have a great film industry here in Utah.
Yes.
And it's growing all the time, and we need to covet that. We need to work with that. We need to continue to improve that. Sundance did that a lot. Boy, I hate to lose that.
And the state legislature has actually done a great deal to expand and entice movie production here in the state of Utah. They've given all sorts of tax incentives, but the Sundance Film Festival received incredible tax incentives to move to Boulder, Colorado. $34 million worth of tax incentives. That is about 10 times, according to some reports, 10 times what we were offering here in Utah. So was it just a money deal, or was it a philosophical difference? Doesn't really matter, because Sundance is gone.
Over 3/4 of Americans will experience foot pain, and most will just live with that pain every day. But Foot Solutions in Orem is here to change that. Here's Amanda from Provo.
I am an active woman, ex-Division I basketball player at BYU. By trade, I'm a PE teacher. Over the last 2 years is when my feet really started hurting.
And that's when Amanda's life changed with a visit to Foot Solutions in Orem.
My experience at Foot Solutions was so unique to any other experience I've had. Over an hour they spent with me, really going over my specific pain points.
After discovering so many solutions and custom in-house made orthotics, what does Amanda want you to know?
Invest in your health. Don't be cheap to your feet. Living a pain-free, active life again has been worth every cent.
Just search for Foot Solutions in Orem and find out more at footsolutions.com.
I'm Amanda from Provo. I'm 47 years old, and Foot Solutions has given me back a pain-free, active lifestyle.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month.
Definitely a very smart move.
Get both and watch Star Wars Andor Season 2 and Mufasa the Lion King on Disney Plus.
There's a lot of stories with all of us.
On Hulu, it's the new season of The Handmaid's Tale and A Complete Unknown.
Give a warm welcome to Bob Dylan.
Don't miss your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month for 4 months. New and returning subscribers, 18 plus only. After 4 months, plan auto renews at $10.99 a month until canceled. Offer ends 3/30/25. Terms apply.
It's the movie show, guys. Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales. We're broadcasting live from NPS in Salt Lake City at 1600 Empire Road. We've already had people filing past us to take advantage of all the awesome deals. Igor, I already grabbed me a flat of soda pop because I just got 24 cans for $6.
The flavors that you want?
The flavors that I wanted and the brand that I wanted of the name brand. And the best part is I don't even have to have any rate. I like getting my father-in-law now drives to the Layton location when he wants to refill on his soda. And I've noticed that's where a lot of people go when they get here because it's such a good deal.
25 cents?
25 cents a can.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like 1990s pricing on soda.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Well, you guys have a deal today for every $50 spent. This is at the Salt Lake location, correct?
Yes, only.
Okay, so every $50 spent, what do you get?
You get free donuts from Donut Kebabs. They're freshly made in front of you. They're delicious. Everybody loves them.
So Donut Kebabs food truck is parked out here in the parking lot.
In front of the store.
You take out your voucher, and they give you a free basket of donuts.
That is correct.
Especially with that little drizzle of maple syrup.
Oh, see, that's so good. All right, now here's the other thing, too. You guys did your St. Patrick's Day sale last week, and so people who spent $50 got a voucher for
$10.
$10. Now, you have to use that by what day?
By Monday.
By Monday. Okay, so you have through this weekend to use up the vouchers that you earned last week at NPS.
Yes.
I mean, these are the deals. NPS, you guys just keep me coming back.
I know.
I can't stop.
Yeah, and I want to make sure if the listeners, that they have any of those Lucky You coupons from St. Patrick's Day, if they don't use them by Monday, they void.
Yes, so you have to use them by Monday.
Yes.
Okay, that's great to know. Here's the thing. You can come in, as Steve found, when you have to reach a certain amount of buying things.
I had to get to $100. It took me all day.
And he's like, well, I've got everything I need. Oh, I better go find some more things.
$96, dang it.
Exactly, because the deals that you get on retail items are unbelievable. The deals you get on grocery are amazing. Come shop at NPS before you hit the grocery store, because you can reduce your grocery store bill by a whole bunch, because you can find most of the items that you're looking for here at NPS.
Yes. I mean, we're talking about Easter right now. If you want chocolate eggs, if you want the rabbits, come over.
Okay, NPS 4 locations, 2 in Salt Lake, 1600 South Empire Road, Layton at 1150 North Main, and 475 North State in Orem.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story: Governor Cox signed nearly 80 bills last night and allowed 3 more to become law without his signature, including the controversial flag bill. KSL News Radio's Verl Johansson reports.
The governor called House Bill 77 one of the most divisive bills of the session and was disappointed it didn't land in a better place. Cox explained in his letter to lawmakers he agrees with the intent behind the bill, but felt it made some kids feel more welcome and other kids feel less welcome. Cox says he decided not to veto the bill because he believed it would be overridden. Cox believes the Utah State Board of Education is a better place to make these kinds of regulations instead of the legislature, and asked the board to find ways to make classrooms more welcoming and politically neutral. Verl Johansson, KSL News Radio.
The governor signed some other bills aimed at protecting children. They include the bill requiring local public schools to provide gun safety courses to students. Another increases the criminal charges for sexual predators. There will be an additional charge for someone who travels more than 45 miles to sexually abuse a child. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the egg shortage continues as Easter approaches. Bird flu still causing problems across the country. The U.S. Agricultural Department has reached out to Germany, Italy, Poland, and Sweden, asking if they can help out by sending any more eggs our way. Customs and Border Protection says it has seen a 36% increase in people trying to bring eggs across the border. But for the average person, it is illegal to bring fresh eggs, raw chicken, and chicken products into the country. Your money at this moment. Let's see where the Dow is right now. It's down 639 at this hour. We're at 41,660. Coming up, we have clouds today, rain tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's low-rate auto loans. And first to you, Lynn Thomas.
We're looking at a pretty nice drive once again, Amanda, on your way with good driving conditions at this point with smooth sailing on the main flow of I-15 from Spanish Fork to the Salt Lake Valley and on to Ogden. I-80 cruising by the lake from Stansbury and Tooele to the airport, or heading up the hill, going eastbound up to Kimball Junction and beyond on to Colville and all the way to Wyoming right now. Replenish Landscape provides the finest compost and landscape products for flower and vegetable gardens. Start your season right with Replenish. Visit replenishcompost.com. Replenish, it's good stuff. Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
The weather will cool down today, 61 for a high. Tomorrow, even cooler, 52 for a high with rain tomorrow that may continue a little bit into Sunday. We'll have more rain on Monday. Right now, it's 52 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
You know, Dave, in the 2024 election, there were two, I think, key factors that swayed the voters. And one, of course, was the economy, the Bidenomics, and the way that the public was dealing with that and treating that really turned the public off to Democrats. And I think that it was a reason that Kamala Harris just could never get over the hump. But another one that was really very important was the whole immigration issue. And it's actually a worldwide phenomenon that countries, including the United States, maybe especially the United States, are really starting to look hard at who's coming into the country, why they're coming in, and I think that there was some fear-mongering about, rapists and murderers and things like that coming in, drugs coming into our country, but the public bought into that. They bought into it hook, line, and sinker, and they voted. I mean, we've got Republican Congress, we've got Republican Senate, we've got Republican president right now, and the people said, do something about immigration. And so we have. But have we taken it too far? And I want to point to something that happened just this Tuesday, and I want to play a soundbite and then talk about it a little bit. What we just heard was a 30-year-old student, a graduate student at Tufts University just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, Rumeysa Ozturk, who just left her home in Somerville on Tuesday night when she was stopped by a group of men their faces were covered, and they came up to her and arrested her. They turned out to be ICE agents, but this is how the actual arrest sort of went down.
I understand you scary. The police. Where are the police?
Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
It's a little bit hard to hear that audio, but what you hear is the police identify themselves. They say, I understand this is scary, but we're the police. We're the police. And then somebody, and this is surveillance video, somebody says, well, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces? Because when they approach this woman, they ask, hey, they said, are you Rumeysa Ozturk? And she said, yes. And then they grab her hands. This agent grabs her hands, and she's panicking because she doesn't know what's going on. And this is when these half dozen officers kind of surround her, and then you see them pull out a badge, like someone had it underneath their jacket, and they pull out the badge and they say, we're the police. But it was from the outside looking in, just watching this video, that must have been incredibly disturbing just because it came out of nowhere.
And the public's watching this, and as we heard, someone says, hey, you don't look like police, because they didn't. They were wearing hoodies, and their faces were covered, and someone in the public was saying, well, why are you hiding your faces? Aaron Katursky from ABC News sort of described this student.
Rumeysa Ozturk, who's here on a student visa, was part of a community protesting against Israel, pro-Palestinian activist, someone who had written in the Tufts student newspaper criticizing the university for failing to recognize what she called Palestinian genocide. If you ask the Department of Homeland Security, this is someone who is engaged in activities supportive of Hamas. And if you ask Secretary of State Marco Rubio,
We gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses.
Now, it's important to note what a student visa is. At the start, Dave, if a person is here on a student visa, they are here legally. It's a little bit like the green card, which is a work visa, but a student visa allows you to be here for a period of time while you're enrolled in school. And she was enrolled. It wasn't like she overstayed her visa, which happens a lot with students. They'll have their visa, they'll graduate, and they'll say, "Hey, this country's pretty nice. I think I'll stick around." You've got to do more than that. At that point, you're here arguably illegally. She's here legally, but she's also Turkish. She had given some. She had protested the Palestinian situation, and some people felt that some of her remarks were anti-Jewish, and so there was this notion that, well, when does speech become appropriate, and when does hate speech become problematic? And for you and I, who are here, we're U.S. citizens, speech is wide open. But I think what the State Department is trying to say, this is Marco Rubio, is that if you're here as a guest, maybe the rules are a little different.
It might be more than 300 at this point. We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa.
You're saying it could be more than 300
Sure,
visas?
I hope. At some point, I hope we run out because we've gotten rid of all of them. But we're looking every day.
So, Greg, let me ask you the question. When it comes to free speech, and oddly enough, we just had a First Amendment seminar here at KSL yesterday as we were discussing this, and I want to ask you, if you are not a citizen of the United States and you're here on a visa, do these rights apply to you even though you're not a U.S. citizen?
That's what we had always assumed, what we had always thought. Marco Rubio sees it a little differently. The State Department is saying, you're a guest, and you're here at our pleasure, not yours. And sure, you're a student. We appreciate that. Do the best you can. But if you want to protest, and I think there's another soundbite from him, do it at home. Don't do it here. And that hasn't been the American way historically, Dave. That hasn't been what we've done to students who are here for whatever reason. But it's a different climate. It's a different time. And this is a woman who there's no criminal history at all. She hasn't committed a crime, and she's now being detained in Louisiana. I don't know why. There must be some detention center there. She's hauled away. She's handcuffed. She's wearing the hijab, and maybe people felt that was some sign of something. But she had protested, and I think she had written something in the Tufts University Journal that was critical of the United States' support of Israel at a time when the Palestinians were being sent all over and not being taken care of. And I think she was speaking for them. But there seems to be a notion now with the State Department that you don't get to come to our country and protest. We get to, but you don't get to if you're going to be a guest.
This was interesting because I've actually lived in another country on a temporary visa. So I've been essentially this person. And when I served a mission, I was living in Spain. My daughter just returned from Paraguay. As missionaries, this is something that we are told very clearly. When you go to this country, you are on a temporary visa that can be revoked. It can be rescinded, and we are not allowed to participate in any kind of political action. We cannot be activists. We can't participate in protests.
So this isn't unique to the United States.
This was something most missionaries, I think, would probably agree. We've been told very clearly that you are not to participate or speak against that you are guests of these countries, and that it can be revoked and you can be sent home. So this was something that I just assumed applied to the United States as well, that if you participated in something that the government looked at and said, you know what, you are no longer welcome here, that you could have your visa revoked.
Yeah, and it's always been the law, Dave, that the State Department has a pretty wide latitude in revoking student visas. They just haven't done it historically, at least not for speech reasons. So again, she's not facing any criminal charges. You can deport people if they commit certain crimes. I mean, that's a given, even if they're here on a work visa or whatever. You can deport people who are illegally. She's here legally. She's here on a student visa, and her crime, and it's not a crime, her
violation,
her error was speaking out publicly in a way that was offensive to the administration. They've taken her into custody. They've revoked her student visa. She's almost certainly going to be sent to Turkey.
Yeah, I will say this as we were watching this. It was an interesting video because it was like an undercover operation. It wasn't police just walking up to them in full uniform. These people were undercover. The cars and the vehicles they were using were not identified in any way.
That was a little bit creepy. But I guess if you walk up to somebody in your police uniform or your ICE uniform, maybe they run. But I don't know that she would have. I mean, there was no reason to approach her that way. But if you looked at them, the police officers, they're wearing hoodies and masks, and they approach her, they surround her, they ask her if she is in fact the person they're looking for. She says, "Yeah, that's me." And then boom, they surround her, and you can hear her screaming in the first segment we played, like, "What's going on here?" And then one of them sort of pulls out the lanyard with his police badge. It says, "Relax, we're the police." Well, she's not really too relaxed.
Yeah, and we just have to take their word for it that they are the police.
Yeah.
It was interesting to watch it unfold, but I think that this certainly sends a message to folks that are on visas to be aware of the possibilities. You may have that visa revoked, and you could be kicked out. Up next, let's jump out to the movie show, guys. The KSL movie show is next. We're going to talk about the big movie of the week and also hear the reactions to the Sundance Film Festival leaving.
My name is Mac Davis, and I have been on the SOTA weight loss program for 14 weeks now. I have dropped 38 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's been remarkably easy to follow the program. It's been amazing.
SOTA weight loss works.
Who would have thought that I would be able to lose over 100 pounds? I thought that there was no way that I could do that without having some kind of invasive surgery or diet pill or some other means.
Let SOTA Weight Loss teach you the healthy, natural way to let go of the weight for good.
The best decision I've made in a long time was just to call SOTA Weight Loss.
Join SOTA Weight Loss with your partner and only pay for one person. Lose weight together.
Double the motivation, double the results, half the cost. Take advantage of SOTA Weight Loss 2-for-1 partner program. Visit SOTAweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice. Because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
David Dujanovic. The following preview has been rated G and is appropriate for all audiences.
All right, it's time to check in with the movie show guys, Andy and Steve. That's coming up right after the show. And there's a couple things we've got to talk about. The elephant in the room, the Sundance Film Festival breaking up with us, breaking up with Utah. They found somebody better, somebody that loved them more, I guess. And that's Boulder, Colorado. So, Andy and Steve, let's just get your initial reactions. Obviously, you were the first ones I thought about. I'm like, I got to hear from these guys. Are you? Some people were probably surprised. I don't know where you guys land on it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a complete surprise. Once they opened negotiation, maybe you'll agree with me on this, Dave. You watch sports like I do. As soon as they announced they were willing to entertain offers, that's not a good sign for staying where you are.
No.
And plus, it was show me the money, and Boulder did.
Yeah, and Boulder went all out. I mean, you were talking about it with us on Utah's Morning News. They offered 10 times the amount of state money than Utah did.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to do. Again, the sports negotiation, when you want to bring somebody from where they are, you got to throw in a bigger offer than where they were.
And they say it had nothing to do with our politics, but I'm pretty sure a couple of those people voted like, nah, we're done.
Steve,
Well,
what does this mean for Utah, though? What does it mean for our film industry here?
Well, since we already have a really good infrastructure for the film festival, I think we're going to get another one. Like, it might be more, obviously, less known, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to end up getting something. Somebody's going to want to come here and do a film festival.
We actually asked this morning, we asked Virginia Pierce, the Utah Film Commission, about what this effect this would have on movie making in Utah, and she said it really doesn't have much to do with movie making. This is more about movie exhibiting. So once the movies are made, this gave people a chance to see the movies that people had already made, but she said the biggest benefit was people coming in maybe that had never been to Utah and saying, wow, this is a gorgeous place, we should make our movie here. So there might be a few of those lost. But
plus, the Sundance Labs is going to stay here. So future filmmakers that want to come and have their work done just like they did before, that's staying here.
Steve, let me ask you a question. Did Sundance grow too big? And I don't mean did it become too popular, but I wonder if originally the idea of having independent films, lesser-known actors, and seeing it grow into films that had multi-million-dollar budgets with A-list actors, did it grow too big or did it change too much from what it was supposed to be?
They tried to keep it, about the films. Even came out with a button one year, said it's about the films, people. And this is when they had, all kinds of people like, I can't remember her name, but, everybody was coming to town.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember her name. But anyway, early on, and for me as a local film critic, they used to love us early on. But as the years went on, they didn't even answer the phone call. So, to me, they got too big for the britches, and, it's too bad.
All right, what's the big movie of the week?
So we were trying to decide between The Penguin Lessons and A Working Man, and we went with The Penguin Lessons because that studio actually made an effort to give us a chance to watch it without having to go see it yesterday afternoon, which is what we had to do with The Working Man. So our big movie of the week is The Penguin Lessons, and I think it's just a charming film.
Absolutely.
With Steve Coogan, who, if you know who Alan Partridge is, if you like British humor, he was the fake commentator from the 90s named Alan Partridge, and he's gone on to become quite a good dramatic actor.
Well, yeah, he usually plays the jerk, though, so that's perfect for him because he doesn't care about anybody, including this stupid penguin. And how that evolves is really quite charming.
Yeah, and it's there were some vibes that I got of Dead Poets Society and the movie I'm Still Here that was Oscar nominated this year as one of the foreign films because it goes over a similar political situation in Argentina that had happened in Brazil also.
By the way, that wasn't in the book, so they kind of added that to give it a little bit more flavor.
I see. So really well done, The Penguin Lessons. It's one of the most family-friendly and probably the best thing I watched this week.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
I think we have a little clip of this.
I rescued him from an oil slick, and now he thinks he's my friend, not my penguin. I don't like penguins.
Then why did you save his life?
Because I was trying to impress a woman.
Your job is to get the boys up to O-level standard. As far as I...
Why do you have a penguin on your desk?
To get you all to pay attention. If you keep this between ourselves, then I'll let you all feed him some fish at lunchtime. Deal?
Again, remind me. Okay, this is...
It really is about a penguin.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a metaphor for something,
No.
Yeah. Not a true story, a true story.
No, it is a true story.
It is a true story. Okay. Yeah. So this guy literally adopts a penguin?
Well, he rescues it. It washed up on the beach from an oil spill, and it happened to be alive. And he was trying to impress the girl he was walking on the beach with. So he's like, yeah, let's go home and wash it.
He would have never even stopped if she hadn't gone, oh, look how cute.
Yeah, but then when he tries to, after he cleans him up and tries to put him back in the ocean, then the penguin swims back and won't leave him alone. So everybody's like, look, it's your penguin. He's like, it's not mine. They're like, yeah, it is. It keeps following you around. So he finally decides to keep it.
Family-friendly, fun. Okay, the big question I have, is this a real penguin or did they CGI this penguin?
That's a great question. I looked that up because I saw the one with Jean Reno earlier this year, and a whole bunch of the penguin scenes were CGI'd.
Yeah,
this was a real penguin.
Yeah.
In fact, it was two of them.
Oh,
Dada and doo-doo or something.
I'm going to
It
need
is
the names
PG.
of these
It is
penguins.
PG-13 because
there's
Steve
a couple
Coogan,
of
he's a little sassy. But
Okay, well, I will look up what the names of the penguins. Was it a real penguin?
Mike and
in
Ike, I
the
believe.
penguin
They have
lesson?
penguin trainers, apparently. They can get them to do what they need them to do for these
Greg,
movies.
sorry, they're called penguin wranglers.
Yeah, there you
I think
go.
they were penguin wranglers. Do we have a big question, too? Do we have a question of the week?
We do, although we're kind of splitting it. People, we're curious to have people text us and say, how sad are you about Sundance? Have you seen movies? Because there is, you ask an average person, a lot of people maybe liked having Sundance here, but you could also ask, and how many Sundance movies have you ever been to? And they'd be like, oh, none, never. I like having it here, but I've never gone to one. And that could be part of the issue.
But the question is, what is the dumbest quote from a movie that you've ever heard?
Yeah, what is the dumbest piece of dialogue you've ever heard in a movie?
Oh, boy, that's a good. I like both those questions. Can I address the first one? And I don't
Sure.
think we'll have time for the second one, but I want to tell you how I feel about Sundance. I'm one of those guys that never went to a film. I'd been up there and I kind of milled around and caught the vibe once, and that was enough for me. But I am absolutely like the girl that broke up with me in high school, right? It was like, I never loved you anyway. That's fine. Go ahead, leave. I never loved you. And then when she comes back, it'll be like, yeah, I'll take you back for sure, 100%. So if Sundance does come back, I will welcome her
You'll
with
definitely
open
think
arms.
about possibly going to a movie sometime.
Definitely, sort of, possibly. I like the idea of Sundance more than Sundance itself. But, gentlemen, thank you so much. We look forward. The movie show is coming up right after this show. So, Andy and Steve, look forward to your breakdown of the Penguin Lesson. Is it the Penguin Lesson? That's what it's called? With the real penguins. Names, their actual names are still a mystery. They're not the Benedict Cumberbatch of penguins. So, thanks, guys. We look forward to it. And Greg Skordas, thank you so much for filling in for Debbie Dujanovic the last couple of days.
It was fun. I'm still trying to think of the dumbest piece of dialogue I've heard in a movie, and of course I can't quote it.
There's
so I'll have
many.
to let it go because
Yeah,
it's from Pulp Fiction.
Oh,
never mind.
Quentin Tarantino wrote something you
There you
didn't
go,
like?
yeah.
Go figure. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Look forward to the movie show coming up.
Get a head start on the warmer months ahead with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Yes offers licensed technicians and an exceptional service guarantee to give you peace of mind and help prevent expensive breakdowns. Ensure your system is working at peak efficiency and help save money on energy costs with a $29 AC tune-up from Yes Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions. Just say yes.
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's Business Solutions can help bring your biggest what-ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting-edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
For 70 years, we've been known as the Humane Society of the United States. But as the challenges animals face have grown, so have we. We are now called Humane World for Animals. And with you on our side, we are going to end animal cruelty around the globe. Join us. Humane World for Animals. The end of animal cruelty.
It's the movie show, guys. Andy Farnsworth and Steve Sales. We're broadcasting from NPS, the nicest place to say.
Oh, I love that.
And we're joined by Julie, the owner of NPS. Julie, you guys have such great deals all the time, but then you go and top yourselves, if that's even possible, when the movie show comes here, and you throw in some extra deals, which we'll talk about. But what are some of the deals right now you want to highlight?
Well, first off, you've already mentioned, I missed that part about the Lucky You coupons.
Yes. Okay. So if you got a
redeem
$10
those.
coupon last week for spending a certain amount, you have to use those by Monday.
Yes.
Or else they
by
won't
Monday.
be good after Monday.
Right. But today and tomorrow, we have the donut kebab truck back. And so, additionally, if you spend $50 or more, besides using your coupons, you can get a credit to go get some donuts.
A basket of donuts out at
Yeah.
the donut kebab truck. Now, let me see if I understand this right. I could spend $50, use my $10 off card that I got last week. Then, because I spent $50, I get the donuts too, and I only had to spend $40. But that's only for the people who have the card.
Yeah.
See, look at the deals that they
This is
stack
why
on top of each other.
like early and often.
Yes.
This is the life hack store. This is the life hack store. If you want to know how to hack your life and get awesome deals, you got to come to NPS.
I wish you were a little more enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other.
And you know, our inventory changes every day. My daughter was outside and she goes, "You have a lineup starting an hour before the store opens."
An hour before it opens.
They go,
yeah,
my
I showed you
goodness,
these morning. And they try out the different
carts.
carts to see which one is the fastest.
Yeah.
And they bring their own WD-40 for the wheels just in case.
Yeah,
just in case.
Throw it up on the rack.
But for real, people know deals, and they get here early to NPS so that they can get the best deals. And you guys have so much stuff that there will be plenty of deals for you whatever time you get here.
Yeah, and it does. It changes every day. We get trucks every single day. So
come in today at 1600 South Empire Road and say hi to us. If you've never been to NPS, make sure you stop by and say hi to us at the movie show. We're right inside the main doors, just to the left. You can't miss us. Come and tell us, hey, this is my first time at NPS. It's always exciting to meet people who learn what we've known for a long time, and that's that NPS is the nicest place to save.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour. The man accused of murdering the mother of his children and triggering an Amber Alert earlier this week could serve 31 years to life in prison. Ricardo Trujillo made his first appearance in court this morning. He's facing 3 felony counts, all involving domestic violence. He'll be back in court next week. In the meantime, Judge Cristina Ortega granted a protective order.
Sir, you were to have no contact with the alleged victim's mother in this particular matter, stepfather, and the 2 minor children who are involved in this particular case.
Police documents say Trujillo admitted to stabbing the victim, Mayra Dimas, before trying to light their trailer on fire and leaving with their kids. The car he was driving was spotted a few hours later. Both children were found safe. Our top national story, more than 100 people are dead and dozens more are missing from Thailand to Myanmar following a 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Jack Brown, who lives in Bangkok, tells ABC News he saw the horrifying collapse of a large apartment building that had been under construction. Some of those workers still feared to be trapped under the rubble.
The building's actually been under construction for a couple of years, and I think it's probably around about 30 stories or so.